Is it possible for a single politician's ideological ego to cripple the economic future of a major American city? Seattle is finding out the hard way right now, as its newly elected socialist mayor is forced into a humiliating, desperate retreat. The very companies that built Seattle are looking at the exit doors, and the fallout is going to change the face of the city forever. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in US politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. For years, Seattle has been a testing ground for far-left, progressive policies. But the arrival of Mayor Katie Wilson has pushed things to a tipping point. Shortly after taking office, Wilson actively urged residents to boycott Starbucks, the iconic coffee giant that has called Seattle home for decades. When asked about the potential of major employers and wealthy residents fleeing the city due to her hostile rhetoric and high taxes, Wilson literally laughed, waved her hand, and said, "Bye." Well, it turns out they took her advice. In a massive wake-up call, Starbucks just announced a staggering $100 million corporate expansion in Nashville, Tennessee, creating thousands of new jobs in a low-tax, business-friendly red state. And to make matters worse for the Pacific Northwest, this massive southern shift coincides with Washington state's controversial new millionaires tax, championed by progressives and signed into law by Democratic Governor Bob Ferguson. Faced with the reality of devastating job losses, shrinking tax revenues, and a deteriorating business climate, Mayor Wilson has suddenly attempted a complete about-face. In an interview, she quietly admitted that her boycott comments caused more harm than good. But for critics and business leaders, this desperate walkback is too little, too late. The backlash has been swift and brutal. Tim Young, a media fellow at the Heritage Foundation, blasted the mayor, stating that she lacks the real-world life or business experience needed to understand the basic economic consequences of her actions. Young compared her to a spoiled child playing with other people's money, warning that no city can survive under leadership so utterly detached from reality. Conservative commentators and local radio hosts like Ari Hoffman and Jason Rantz have also sounded the alarm. Hoffman pointed out the sheer embarrassment of a mayor who giggled at Capitol flight, only to look on helplessly as massive corporations start moving their operations elsewhere. Even public polling supports the outcry. According to pollster Scott Rasmussen, 61% of voters agree that it is bad for a city or state when high taxes and hostile politics drive wealthy residents and major businesses away. What we are witnessing in Seattle is not an isolated incident, it is a textbook case study in how progressive tax burdens and anti-business rhetoric dismantle local economies. For years, far-left leaders in deep blue cities have operated under the assumption that massive corporations and wealthy taxpayers will simply stay and take the abuse, no matter how high the taxes go or how hostile the political environment becomes. But capital is highly mobile. In the modern economy, companies like Starbucks do not have to endure hostile local governments. They can easily move their capital, their future investments, and their jobs to states like Tennessee, Florida, or Texas, where they are welcomed with open arms, lower taxes, and stable regulatory environments. This represents a massive, historic shift in the American economic landscape. The flight of jobs and wealth from high-tax blue states to low-tax red states is accelerating. If iconic brands like Starbucks decide to phase out their presence in their historic home bases, cities like Seattle will face shrinking budgets, failing public services, and a downward spiral that is incredibly difficult to reverse. The warning signs are flashing red. So what do you think about this? Do you think Seattle can recover from this self-inflicted economic wound, or is this the beginning of a permanent corporate exodus to red states? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. The economic laws of gravity always win, no matter how much politicians try to ignore them. Thank you for watching. Keep your eyes on the shifting political landscape, and we will see you in the next video.